San Francisco has one of the slowest transit systems in the country, but there are a few easy steps the MTA could take to make a faster Muni.
Speeding up boarding is a really important part of getting people where they're going more quickly.
Muni spends about half of its time on any given run not moving. So the bus is either stopped at a light or the bus is stopped at a bus stop. So speeding up boarding would be hugely important in getting Muni to be both more reliable and faster.
You save money by making the buses move more quickly. You attract more customers to the system because San Franciscans are very time sensitive. And so if you can give them a faster boarding experience and an overall faster travel experience, you're going to attract users to the system.
Some of the best changes for Muni are the simplest ones, like speeding up how long it takes to get on the bus. There are a couple of very simple ways to do that. One of them is to switch to proof of payment, where instead of everybody getting on through the front door and putting in their money or showing their fast pass, you can get on through the back door, you can get on through as many doors as there are, and then somebody comes around and checks periodically to make sure everybody has paid and has a ticket or has a fast pass.
We're one of the first systems in the country to have all-door boarding on our light rail system, and that's been very, very successful.
So instead of paying the driver and everyone going in the front door, you pay before you get on the platform, train pulls up, everybody gets on, everybody gets off, much faster.
Fumbling for dollar bills and putting them into the machine is obviously one of our biggest sources of delay. Moving to TransLink to the smart card is really going to help with that, because people will have more options to pay, and when people have more choices, they're less likely to use cash.
It should be really fast to get people on and off, like it is on the trains, for example. That's why trains are so efficient compared to buses. Look how long it takes all these people to get on and off. There's not that many people. Compare that to how long it takes at the Underground, Muni Underground. And this bus is here for a full minute. If you have a fast pass, why should you wait in line to get in the front? That just slows everyone down. It's a real inefficient system.
Most transit operators in the world have switched to low-floor vehicles, where instead of walking up the stairs to get on, it's just smooth, level boarding.
The advantage of a low-floor vehicle is twofold. One, it eliminates the steps, so most customers can get onto the bus more quickly. And then a second aspect is that it uses a much simpler ramp for people with disabilities to get on and off the bus.
Everybody knows we've got to do it, and we may as well get started.
Bus stop consolidation is probably the cheapest way and the quickest way to speed Muni up.
So on Mission Street right here, for example, the bus stops at 16th and 18th and 19th and 20th and 21st and 22nd. Why not have it stop only on the even numbers? You might have to walk an extra block, but so much time is spent decelerating and accelerating that we could speed up a lot by consolidating stops a little bit. Here's how I can explain that best. Imagine a route that takes 60 minutes to do. That means in 3 hours, you get to run that bus back and forth 3 times. If you could cut the time on that route down to 45 minutes, then you get to run that same bus back and forth 4 times in those 3 hours. You've just gained an extra bus at no extra cost to the taxpayers.
Each of these stops adds a little turbulence to your schedule, so you increase reliability by having fewer stops. The reason it upsets some people is every bus stop has a constituency.
Here we're trying to weigh how to get the bus faster, but also how to address the needs of people with disabilities and seniors. So we say do it, but do it right. Make sure this bus stop doesn't have a severe impact on people with disabilities and seniors.
We may be deciding between 2 stops a block apart. One has a senior center in front of it, one doesn't. We may make the decision to put it in front of the senior center to improve access for a particular population.
A road diet is any time we take any lane out of a road. If you have, say, 4 lanes and you knock it down to just 2 lanes, you've put the road on a diet. I first coined the phrase and used it in 1996 in an article that Peter Lagerwey and I wrote together. It had sticking power. People liked the term, they could understand what it meant. The most common road diet is converting 4 lanes to 2 and then putting in the 3rd lane for turning. And then with the extra space, adding in bike lanes.
It's a way to reallocate space so the street performs more efficiently. And it also allows space to be allocated for bicycle pedestrian measures. As a motorist, you have fewer lane changes, and you now have a dedicated left turn pocket. So when you want to make a left turn, you have the space to do that, and you don't feel any pressure from behind to hurry up. And that improves safety for the motorists and for pedestrians who are crossing the crosswalks.
We've reallocated the space in the street to accommodate those that live here, that work here, that buy things here, versus privileging those that would just drive through here fast. We used to have a sidewalk where the curb went right through here. We extended it all the way out, so we still have through 2-car travel lanes here, but we've shortened the distance for pedestrians by about 50%.
When you have a road diet, typically you have 1 lane in each direction. And now the prudent driver is setting the speed and not the imprudent driver. So crashes come down. Another real benefit is it makes it much easier to get across the street. If you're a pedestrian, you end up with less distance to cross. It's quieter, and you end up with more people walking and bicycling. We typically see more people socializing. And generally, we see the value of properties going up. One city that's way out in front of other cities is San Francisco.
San Francisco is up to about 40 road diets, which I believe is the most of any North American city. We have all sorts of road diets where we went from 4 lanes to 3, 3 to 2. We are working on one that goes from 6 to 4. Back in the 1990s, Valencia Street was a 4-lane roadway, and the Bicycle Coalition in particular wanted to have a bicycle facility on the street because it was already very heavily used by bicyclists. So the bike lanes went in as a trial. We went from 4 to 3 lanes with bike lanes, and there was a report written after 1 year. We found that the number of cyclists increased by about 140%, and we were finding that the merchants along the roadway were actually very open to the idea of keeping the road diets.
After the road diets go in, because motorists are driving more prudent, people can shop for parking spaces, and the retail life of the street also improves. So the businesses typically do better after a road diet. To a lot of people, it's a surprise if you take half of something away, the number of lanes, that you actually end up with more performance for a street. And it just simply gets right down to the crunch in the numbers. In science, if you have fewer of something, it can be more efficient.
Road diet is one of the most cost-efficient ways to improve a roadway. You can do a mile of roadway for about $50,000, which is the cost of one sidewalk bulb out. Or to compare, a traffic signal could cost $300,000 or $400,000.
So we're in New Haven looking at some roadways that were way overbuilt. We got, as you can see, the roads empty a lot of the time. And then all of the space in between these 2 roads on either side was at one time all housing. And they bulldozed all of it in order to put a freeway in. Well, the freeway never came, never will come. And now we still have these very fast, very wide streets. Earlier we were recording some cars that going 50 miles an hour down this corridor. One major reason for road diets is safety. We've had several people killed within a block of right where we're standing now, doctors who work here in the hospital. So we're really looking at all the ways we can get out those lanes we no longer need, which when you have too many lanes, you induce more speeding and more risky behavior. As we're making a move back to cities, as people want to live more and more in cities, so many of the streets in our cities, 30, sometimes 40% of the streets could operate better with fewer lanes. And otherwise, change the street back to a quieter version of its former self. And it's working.